morning. Let me start off by saying hello, and then we'll take it from there. And I do have a couple of boys here with me, but they are not, one's asleep on the little love seat thing, the other one's asleep on the floor. So right now it's just me all by myself, solo, nothing else. But it is likely that we see pretty significant icing the more I look at things. So we'll kind of walk through the scenarios and what to expect as we continue through the next several days. But an Arctic blast is likely, a winter storm is likely. I'm not sure why this frame isn't changing over. It should be any time now. I've pushed the proper buttons, so for whatever reason it just isn't going yet. I do see some of you have comments on here, though. Thanks for staying up late and bearing with me as we play this thing. Rod says 4 and 4 point. Oh, sorry, I had my volume up on my phone. Thomas checking in from Boston. Okay, I'm pushing buttons to make sure this thing pops up. For some reason, it's not following my. Oh, there it is. Hi. All of a sudden, it decided it was going to do it. So, Thomas, you had 2 feet of snow in Boston? 23.6, I believe, was the total officially. That's pretty impressive. Oh, Jennifer doesn't see video. No? Apologies if you're not seeing anything. Hopefully others of you are. I'm seeing it on my end of things from my monitor here. Boom. There it is. So for those of you who are not seeing video, apologies for that. All right, so let's go ahead and kind of make our way through this interesting weather setup. The most important thing to know is that if you made out okay, all things considered, I know the power situation was a problem, but if you made out okay preparedness-wise last February, you should be okay this February. If your plants survived, whatever you did last time, they should survive this time. The 4 Ps, people, pets, plants, and pipes. It looks as though we will potentially fall to freezing by Thursday morning at some point. It could be 3 a.m., it could be 6 a.m., but whenever we get there, there's compelling evidence now that instead of bumping right back up a little bit, we might actually see temperatures continue to fall as we work our way through the day on Thursday. I'll share a computer model that's showing just that in just a bit, but here's where I stand with the 7-day forecast. Mostly cloudy skies for Tuesday, all the way up to 72 degrees. We're probably going to see fog in the morning and then give way to sunshine. Tuesday is a great day for you to take time and prepare and be ready for the Arctic onslaught. Groundhog Day on Wednesday. Rain likely. Could see some isolated storms along the way, not expecting anything severe, but a 90% chance that we see rain. The cold front, the Arctic front, could come through as early as around 4 o'clock in the afternoon. It could come through as late as 9 o'clock in the evening, and that will play a bit of a role in temperatures as well. But right now I'm forecasting 66 degrees. Originally I was closer to 70, but I opted to go a little bit cooler just because we'll see more cloud cover and some showers earlier in the day as well. Thursday, no longer saying wintry mix question mark. Now I'm saying ice storm possible. And I'm going to show you some graphics that are not good considering travel impacts and possible power impacts. So just keep that in mind. We're going to have a combination of temperatures that will stay below freezing all day Thursday, all morning Friday, and we may barely thaw out Friday afternoon in Austin to 35 degrees. But if you're in the hill country, you may stay below freezing from Thursday morning all the way until Saturday morning. Just be prepared for what could be 2 to 3 days of freezing temperatures. Make sure that you've got multiple ways of staying warm, just in case ERCOT has strange things happen, right? And also in the event that you're out traveling, and you make sure you have cold weather safety gear as well, emergency kit, if you will, in your car. So the worst of the ice looks like it'll be in the hill country for our area. Couple computer models are now suggesting there might even be a coating of snow on the tail end of the system with the heavier snowfall totals to our north. Then we could wake up on Friday to teens for temperatures, and possibly because of the winds out of the north about 10 to 20 miles per hour, we could see wind chill values dip into the single digits and low teens. Saturday is a little bit of a question mark. There's at least a small chance we could see a little bit of a rain-snow mix. Doesn't look like a big deal, but wouldn't shock me if we see a coating. And then Sunday and Monday, we might actually see high temperatures around 50 degrees. Never mind the fact that the average high is 64. Here's a look outside as we speak on what it was a very wet day. In fact, we set a rain record at both Camp Mabry as well as the airport. As for the allergy situation, I honestly thought the cedar count would be lower, but it was taken early in the morning before we had all the rain. So cedar was in the high range, mold was in the low range. The drought monitor, I have a feeling this is going to change dramatically. Areas that saw the heaviest rain were basically right here where I'm drawing the circle. And those spots will likely see the moderate drought alleviated. However, the areas that needed it the most out in the hill country actually picked up the least in terms of rainfall. Did want to mention with all the residual moisture, skies are trying to clear as that system exits off to the east, and there may be some fog issues. So as we look ahead, this is a fog potential at around sunrise, Tuesday, 7:30 in the morning, and we're looking at potentially about a quarter of a mile, sorry, I've got inches on the brain because of ice accumulations. A quarter of a mile visibility could be possible in some spots. So it's not out of the realm of possibilities that we see a dense fog advisory put into effect, or at least the potential for some fog. Everything should start to improve, and visibility is making huge progress by mid-morning. All right, let's talk about the rain component. We saw just shy of 2 inches of rain at Camp Mabry, which was a daily record for January 31st. Out at the airport, we saw 4 inches of rain. That also a daily record. Talk about a turnaround prior to January 31st, July, haha. Prior to January 31st, we'd only had 27/100ths of an inch of rain. And by the way, I know that this number here says 1.23. The National Weather Service sent an update later on in the evening after this was published with 1.94 as the official total for Camp Mabry. Our high was only 59. Current temperature 55, and yeah, there are some breaks in the overcast. I actually saw some stars on my way home. So what's ahead? Rain is ending, moving out. Tuesday is going to be your prep day. You've got time to go run those errands, pick up those groceries, do anything you want to do. Don't panic, but just know that it's going to be a lot easier to get stuff done Tuesday than it will Wednesday when it's raining, or Thursday when it could be a bit of a skating rink, depending on how things play out. I know TxDOT's going to pre-treat, but sometimes even that isn't enough. The Arctic cold front coming in late Wednesday, and then Thursday looking like a situation where we see rain transition over to ice. Here's a little bit of good news. Check out radar. The showers that were over our area for much of the day are finally wrapping up. You can see that right now as the area of low pressure pivoted through our area. It brought some really impressive rainfall totals. Bastrop County was under a flash flood warning for about 6 hours, and here's why. You can see Bastrop picking up about just shy of 5 inches of rain. That's not the only spot though. Off toward eastern sections of Travis County, south of Highway 290, a couple of spots in the orange and in the yellow with some pretty impressive rainfall totals. So it was a very beneficial rain, though there were flood advisories and though some areas in Bastrop County were under flash flood warnings. I was kind of monitoring social media. I did not see any reports of water rescues or of significant flooding. Not to say that that didn't happen, but if it did, it wasn't that big of a deal. And atxfloods.com does not have very many closures. It has 23 at last check. 8 of those were prior to today. So, I mean, when you think about some of our big flood events, this was not so much. Unfortunately, though, for those of you in the hill country, we picked up less than a half an inch of rain out of this system. By the way, the next system is probably going to bring at least a half an inch of rain, and then the changeover. So pretty easy as you see the loop, the area of low pressure is now making its way toward the Gulf of Mexico. And on the back side, we are seeing a little bit of cloud cover kind of fill back in over here. So those of you who are seeing some breaks in the overcast, we're probably going to not see that for too much longer. In fact, I'm kind of curious to see what the visibility is right now. I'm just going to check and see if there's any current fog. Let me find that frame, and then we'll move on from there. While I was talking about the potential of some fog, the least I could do is check in on visibilities right now. Let's see, so there's my dense fog advisory, there's my visibility. Okay, so here is a look at the visibilities across our area, and I'll have to zoom in the camera view so you'll be able to actually pick out the spots. So it does look like there's some fog that has developed out in Fredericksburg. We're at 1 mile visibility there. Everyone else is in pretty good shape, but yes, I do think that fog will be a factor as we continue on. Meantime, we are basking in warmth and 50s, but as you look to the north, that's where the cold air is. Arctic air heading south behind basically a tandem of cold fronts. So you can also see some snow wrapping around from northern Minnesota into southern Canada. So essentially, our next cold front is this one right here. And the Arctic cold front is basically going to catch up to the other cold front. So then the conglomeration will make its way into central Texas. Timing wise, we're looking at Wednesday. So Tuesday is quiet, and then Wednesday things change. And in anticipation of said big Arctic push plus moisture, areas very close to us, San Saba, Lampasas, under winter storm watches. Dallas, winter storm watch. Oklahoma City, you get the idea. Significant ice and snow will be possible late Wednesday and into Thursday. And just to kind of move things out, just so you can see the extent to which there are winter weather advisories all the way north and east into the Great Lakes region. So wintry weather is going to be a thing. All right, Tuesday I mentioned, no big deal. It's our day between storms. Foggy in the morning, sunshine peeking its head out around lunchtime, and high temperature of 72 degrees by afternoon. It's going to be nice. Then comes the Arctic blast. So during the daytime hours, Wednesday, it's going to be warm. Temperatures in the 60s. You'll probably want your umbrella handy, kind of like today. And then Thursday, we fall into the 20s. And I was saying 28 degrees. I will tell you, it could be even colder, and we could potentially see temperatures continue to fall. So not necessarily that 28 is where we bottom out. 28 may be what we start out at first thing on Thursday morning, and then we continue just to fall and fall and fall from there. All right, so let's go hour by hour. These computer models are not perfect, but they give you a kind of an inkling. So exact timing, exact totals, exact like the minutia, this is probably not going to nail it, but I am becoming more confident in the general idea. So worth noting, this computer model does show a little bit of spotty rain still early tomorrow. I'm not including rain in my forecast. I think at this point there may be some fog, but I don't necessarily think that we're going to see any additional rainfall. Then as we head toward the afternoon and evening hours, we clear out and we should see a decent amount of sunshine to end the day. Let's look ahead to Wednesday. Okay, so and I'm actually going to pull this back a little bit. So in the morning, Wednesday may start out pretty quiet with just a couple of spotty showers. Then by about 9 or 10 a.m., we're going to start to see rain pick up, and the cold front may make very quick progress. Then as we work our way toward lunchtime, the front may be pushing through the hill country, but not yet to Austin. And this computer model is really fast on the front. It's one of the fastest I've seen. But potentially the front may be slicing through Austin mid-afternoon. So we may see temperatures peak at around 66 degrees and then fall quickly into the 50s and then possibly even into the 40s as early as around 7 or 8 p.m. And then, as you can see, it does not take long after that front pushes east for the wintry mix to come into play. It's that pink you can see in northwest Llano County as early as 8 p.m. on Wednesday. And I don't know if it's going to be quite this early, but I just wanted to let you know that this is a possibility. So if everything is quick and if that transition happens super quickly, we might find ourselves with the first little bits of wintry mix happening as early as around midnight on Wednesday night. Then as we advance through early Thursday, temperatures drop. I'm going to swing back just a little bit to show you kind of that transition. So by 3 a.m., we could see temperatures fall to freezing throughout most of our area. We're probably going to be dealing with a combination of rain, freezing rain, and maybe some sleet as well. And it could be something that sticks around for a little while. So temperatures fall into the upper 20s by 4:30 in the morning. And then they fall more by daybreak. And they could continue to fall with afternoon temperatures no warmer than what you wake up to in the morning. As you can see, it's not much, but this computer model saying at the very tail end of this, that column of air through the atmosphere could get cold enough that we actually see a little tiny bit of snow as this thing is finally pushing out. And then hopefully by about 6 p.m. on Thursday, we're just transitioning to cloudy and cold and blustery instead of having to worry about additional icing. But if this pans out, we may be in a situation where travel will not be advised, period, on Thursday because of the amount of ice and potential for difficult travel conditions. First, let's talk about the liquid component of this system. Potential rain could be pretty impressive. There could be spots that get a 1/2 of an inch to 3/4 of an inch to over an inch of rain liquid. This is through 6 a.m. Thursday. Remember, after 6 a.m. Thursday is when we're likely to see that ice accumulate. Okay, now let's take a look at potential ice accumulations. And this, folks, is not good. It's possible we could have 1/4 to maybe almost a 1/2 inch of ice if this computer model pans out. And, worth noting, this is counting on the front coming through quickly, and it's counting on a longer duration of precipitation. So a lot has to come together for us to get this, which is basically really bad. 1/4 inch of ice is enough to coat tree limbs. It's enough to coat power lines. And when you combine that with north winds that would be 10, 20 miles per hour, there could be some power outages as a result. There could be some damage to trees and that kind of thing as well. And it would not just be bridges and overpasses that ice over. It would be any untreated surface. It would be sidewalks. It would be steps, railings, like the whole kit and caboodle. This is not good. The lowest impacts will be for those of you in Fayette County, where it will be slightly warmer, and you'll see the precip onset a little bit later. I really think the hill country is probably going to have the worst. However, you can kind of see that there's a pretty good swath from I-35 points west that could have some significant impacts. So think about all the flyovers, all the elevated roadways. Those would probably be significantly impacted, and even the regular roads. I mean, you can treat and you can pre-treat and sand and salt and whatever, but a lot of times there are still going to be those slick spots. So unfortunately, a bit of a flashback to last year. Not as long duration, not as much ice, because that was a back-to-back-to-back-to-back system. But still, this is not a good scenario. And by the way, I have a hunch that your kids will probably get the day off on Thursday based on kind of the way this is looking. Okay, 2 other computer models, because in a situation where we're dealing with what could be a significant weather maker, a significant ice storm, I like to have 2nd, 3rd, 4th, 5th, as many opinions as I can, just so I can try to formulate and determine, is one of these just off the wall crazy, or is there something on, or can you latch on to something that looks like a pretty decent idea. Now, it's worth noting the computer model on the right, the European, doesn't show any ice for Austin. It does show ice for the hill country. This is one of the only computer models that is not showing ice all the way to Austin, to be honest with you. The GFS computer model on the left has been consistently showing a significant ice storm for us for the last several days. So, what I will tell you is, given that the European computer model, which is kind of odd man out, is showing icing in the hill country, I'm going to say I think that the hill country has a pretty good chance of being having icing impacts. My confidence is not quite as high for Austin, but I am gaining confidence. So if you can flex your travel plans for Thursday, I would. If you have an appointment you could schedule for a different day, I would. If you don't have to travel, I wouldn't. All that good stuff. But yeah, I have a hunch it will be a day of school closings and not a great day for travel. So here we stand, highly confident in the freeze, gaining confidence that we'll see rain to freezing rain to some sleet. Snow, unlikely, but I'm going to show you a couple of computer models that are saying, but wait, there could be some snow. All right, so first, let's take a look at that big picture. Many of you also have friends and family and loved ones in North Texas, which will see considerably worse impacts than what we do. So, Wednesday afternoon, it's all rain for all of us. Then things change. By 3 a.m., we're starting to see that mix, and this is the computer model that is showing the least amount of ice. This is the European computer model. And then as we head our way toward 9 a.m., starting to see that mix in the hill country, snow possible up toward North Texas, and then by 2:30, still some mix up to about I-35, and rain elsewhere, and that is that. Okay, so that is your best case scenario. And even that doesn't look good, but that is your best case scenario. Now let's take a look at the worst case scenario, which I hope it's somewhere in between. I hope we don't end up in the extremes. So here we are, 3 o'clock Wednesday, and already there is a good deal of heavy snow potential in Northwest Texas and the Panhandle, ice on the leading edge of that heading toward the DFW area, and we're in the rain here in Austin. Then, as early as midnight, we're watching that wintry mix, that ice, push from Dallas just toward Mason County with snow behind it in Northwest Texas and the Panhandle. Then, by daybreak on Thursday, even in Austin, we're getting in on some icing. As we continue through the day Thursday, we could see all the way through the day light freezing rain falling. So just be prepared for potential impact. And then you can see there's a decent amount of this computer model is kind of going bonkers. It's got a decent amount of snow on the backside of this thing. So much so that in a moment I'm going to show you potential snowfall accumulations, and don't count out the hill country to see a coating. So finally everything winds down after that. All right, so speaking of snow, say it ain't snow, really? Again, my confidence in snow is extremely low. My confidence in ice is almost high. I'm going to say it's medium high right now. But there you go. We could have a coating of snow on top of the ice, maybe a half an inch in some spots. Don't hold your breath, but maybe. And I guess that would be a nice little end to what will be a bitterly cold, dangerous icing situation. Okay, let's take a look at a different computer model. This is the GFS. It's showing about a half an inch in Mason, but not much else for anybody else. And let's show you one more computer model just for comparison's sake. This is the European computer model, which is the one that has the least impacts, and it is showing maybe some trace amounts of snow for areas off toward the north. Now, another thing I wanted to do, let me go ahead and I'm going to back up to the previous computer model because I also think, I'm not sure, but I think I can zoom out a little bit on this. Yes, I can. Okay, so I'm going to zoom out so that you can see in a worst case scenario, potentially how much snow might fall in other parts of the state. Again, this is just a computer model, so I'm just going in and I'm just plotting what the computer model is saying. It's not gospel. It's not my forecast. This is, oh, and obviously that one says road. I was trying to get an Oklahoma City snowfall projection. I can't put it on the highways because it'll identify the highway. So instead I just have to click somewhere else. But just taking this little sampling, if our worst case computer model pans out, this would be a school closing both Thursday and Friday, traffic paralyzing, major winter maker. We don't have enough plows in the state of Texas to deal with this kind of storm. As mentioned, though, that is farther north and we are farther south. So seriously, this is going to be for us primarily an ice event after rain. But for North Texas, it could be rain to ice to snow. So just keep that in mind. If you have any flights through DFW, those could be affected. If you have any travel plans to OKC, that could be affected. So hopefully you are patient and prepared. And I did mention with the Arctic blast, we're looking at 5 freezes at least, and it could be close to 6. Let's talk a little bit about temperatures. Tuesday morning, we're going to have a low that we wake up to right around 52 in Austin, but the Amarillo area will already be 34. Colder air already seeping in. Wednesday's high, right around 72 in Austin, unseasonably warm. Amarillo, 48. Then as we look ahead, the high temperatures are going to be well above average for us. And then by Thursday, how about a high? Oh wait, sorry, it's past midnight. I forget. So this is actually Wednesday. My bad. I was off by a day, you guys. Sorry. I forget that at midnight my banners go haywire. So this is actually Wednesday's highs, 66 in Austin. And look at this. The high in Amarillo, 24. The high in Lubbock, 31. And as soon as that front pushes through, it is going to pull those temperatures down in a real hurry. Oh, it just hit 1 a.m. You know what? Now that it hit 1 a.m., all my computer models are going to go haywire. So anyway, now the computer itself believes it is February 1st. I trick it to make it trigger to until 1 a.m. that it still thinks it's January 31st. But as you can see, it now believes it's February 1st, which it is. But until we go to sleep, I'm not going to admit it. But cooler temperatures are expected to continue all the way through Valentine's Day. And I know last year it was Valentine's Day, President's Day for our big, snowpocalypse. It does look like we're going to see continued cooler conditions. Another thing I didn't really mention much is that in the extended forecast, which this is probably going to be off by a day. Bear with me. Yeah, it's off by a day. No, I'm not going to worry about trying to revert back. Just suffice it to say all these days are off by a day. Scoot it back. But anyway, it is possible that Saturday, depending on how computer models play out, we could also be in a situation where there are areas that see maybe a bit of a winter mix of some possible rain or maybe some snow. So yeah, there's definitely a lot to chew on. A lot can still change, but so far the changes that I'm seeing are leading me to believe in colder. Like I almost feel like my temperature on Thursday of 30 for a high is going to be too warm. Granted, it'll be in the 30s prior to sunrise. But during the daytime hours, it's totally feasible that we stay in the 20s all day based on some of what I'm seeing. So you have been warned. All right, those of you on the CBS Austin page, Allison Miller is pinch hitting for Avery Tomasco in the morning, so you can check in with her for the latest updates. And of course, hang in there. You know this will pass. You know we'll be talking 100-degree heat in a mere few months, right? So make sure you're prepared. Make sure you get, all the supplies you need to get through a couple of days without leaving the house if need be, given the potential for some ice. Don't forget about your pets. Make sure you've got protection on your faucets, your plants, all that good stuff. We've done this before, so we can do it again. All right, have a great night, and thank you for checking in. All right. And those of you on YouTube, thank you for checking in too. By the way, YouTubers, if you want to hop on my Facebook Lives, I always do kind of an after chat on Facebook Live, which I'm going to